How Mama met Mr. B, my grandfather, remains unknown. After serving as a cook in the infantry during World War I, he settled in Gastonia and worked as a barber's assistant. By the time I was born, he had lost his sight and relied on creating small pieces of art to sell for extra money. I never understood that he was essentially panhandling, that he made copper trinkets to exchange for donations. A cousin once told me about a summer visit where he witnessed my grandfather's harsh treatment of my father and uncle. They were forced to help beg for money, denied food, and not allowed to rest. This memory shed light on why my father struggled so much with his own frustrations. The example he had was one of fear and strict regimentation. Even my older aunt, captured in a photo at 2 years old, appeared frozen and joyless, like a porcelain doll caught in fear. Childhood in that household was a regimented, joyless existence. Living through the Great Depression, being a black family with a blind tradesman father, money was scarce and nutrition was poor. As a child, I didn't know they were poor or that their neighborhood was on the other side of the tracks. Mama, ever enterprising, made paper flowers to sell for extra income. Her daughters became a teacher and a clerk, but old sibling rivalries lingered for decades. Fueled by childhood wounds and favoritism, in the end, those unresolved hurts remained until their final days, leaving a legacy of pain that echoed through generations.
Honestly, I was relatively inattentive on Valentine's Day. You could say I was non-existent. But between laughter and candlelight, between two bodies wrapped in warmth, I began. Not born yet, just whispered into existence. My first moments on Earth weren't tea of Earth at all. They were echoes inside a receptive womb, where time hadn't yet learned my name. He was city poor, all rhythm, ambition, and concrete prayers. She was country poor, quiet, thoughtful, always escaping to trees and wind. Together they were a fable. The city mouse and the country mouse, meeting halfway in a dream neither one expected. They called it love. I call it the spark before I was imagined. He was known as Prince Charming, a pun that fit him perfectly. A man who could charm paper into poetry and turn empty walls into art. Ink on his hands, pride in his posture. He smiled at his reflection as if to remind himself that he'd made it this far. I think I inherited his eye for presentation, even from within the dark. She came from a family of 12, children running, shouting, clinging to her silence. But she found peace beneath an old tree, where her thoughts could stretch without interruption. She didn't dislike children, she just feared their noise might drown her peace. Solitude became her sanctuary and her armor. Even now, I can still feel her silence wrapped around me. Together, they rose from nothing, turned struggle into satin. They became the toast of the town, the couple who smiled for every flash, who danced in borrowed light. But beauty has a way of hiding fatigue, and charm often conceals distance. Behind the laughter, two souls whispered separate prayers. The house was all brick, a status symbol in those days, especially for minorities. He was proud, warming his diesel Mercedes every morning before gliding through the neighborhood. She stood at the doorway, wrapped in quiet dignity. Together they had climbed from the bottom, though neither knew what to do with the view. And me, I was the heartbeat humming quietly in the background. After 2 years of marriage, that Valentine's night sealed their fated journey to the undesired land of parenthood. They didn't plan for me. I was simply destiny taking form through human hesitation. But love doesn't always ask permission. It just arrives, disguised as responsibility. And so I was conceived in warmth, born from reluctance, destined to understand endurance. Years passed. that house still stands, and the tree still listens. I've walked beneath its branches, traced the grooves she once leaned against, and felt her spirit there. Quiet, but content. They accepted their challenge, and I accepted mine. Life taught us all that even unplanned beginnings can bloom into purpose. I was born of indifference, but raised by endurance. And somewhere between the two, I became whole. The Valentine Conception. Written in the womb of time.
Before strength was something she understood, there was the land. Southern Maryland, Thompkinsville. Glamorous was born the 10th of 12 children to parents who had very little. Except endurance, life in the country was hard for poor people. Harder still if you were black. But one thing was certain, there was always food, and there was always shelter. The water fed them. Fish, crabs, oysters pulled straight from the river by watermen who knew the tides like family. The land fed them too. Fruit trees stood watch over the yard: cherry, plum, apple, persimmon, black walnut, pear. A garden always growing: corn, tomatoes, beans, squash, cucumbers, cattle, chickens. What little they need, flour, cornmeal, was bought. Everything else came from the work of their own hands. Her mother earned extra income by doing day work, tending to the homes of local families, doing what she could to keep her own together. Her father traveled 65 miles to Washington, D.C., in search of better paying work. How often he returned is uncertain. The city held a room for him too. Still, the house stood. They married at 18 and 20, and when Glamorous arrived, she joined a family already full. 13 children would pass through that home. 3 older siblings were still there when she was born. The house was loud, always moving. She was different. When the noise grew too heavy, she found quiet beneath a large tree in the yard. She would sit there for hours, reading, alone but not lonely. The home sat on a tributary of the Potomac River. From the front yard, you could walk straight to the water and fish. There was no running water inside, not for decades. A hand pump in the yard, an outhouse nearby. Simple living, unforgiving at times, but it built something. Because long before Glamorous knew who she would become, she learned how to endure, how to observe, how to be still. And from that quiet place, everything else grew. This is where the story began.
There are a few good memories. There are memories of my standing on a step stool to help my daddy shave and tie his tie. He used to let me do these things. I enjoyed them, and it was like our bonding time. I have some memories earlier still than that. I remember being in the high chair, eating the baby food that my mother fed me. She would take the spoon and pretend that it was a plane soaring through the air that ended in my mouth. I hated the cereal that she fed me. I loathed it so much that I remember what the box looked like to this day. The box had a blue halo around the baby, a cherubic face looking like a balloon, painted with a smile. It was Gerber's brand wheat, and I hated it. She rarely purchased the Gerber brand rice, which I preferred, and that box had the yellow halo. My earliest memory of these feedings was that I was eating to please her. She was always so delighted when I ate. I liked pleasing her. In later years, when I told her of the kitchen setup, where my high chairs sat, the type of cereal that she fed me, she was amazed that my memory went back so far. She said that she stopped feeding me that cereal when I was 6 months old. The more pleasant memories of childhood occurred during those times. Things took a rather sinister change around the time I was 4. First, the November of the year I turned 4. Shortly after my birthday, Prince Charming decided to read a story to me. My mother read to me most often, so for him to volunteer to read to me was special. Also, it was not my bedtime, so this was an extra special treat. He chose the story beforehand. The story that he chose to read to me on that occasion was Saint Nicholas of Holland. I had this reader series of books which had been advertised to go from kindergarten through high school. It was from this series that he had selected the reading. The story told of the bishop in the Netherlands who would collect fruit, nuts, and a gold coin in the stockings to give to the children of that community for Christmas. The story ending was, and today Saint Nick visits children all over the world with his gifts. My father looked at me and asked, "Do you know what this means?" I said, "There is no Santa Claus." He said, "That's right, and you are not to tell the other children." I was disappointed that here I was at the tender age of 4, left with the burden of knowledge I was forbidden to share. I remember this as the time when the nightmares began. Nightmares, not in the sense of having awful dreams, but in the sense that my wonderful only child life came to a sudden dramatic conclusion. The whippings, as he called them, began as well around this time. I would be beat on a regular basis, sometimes 2 and 3 times a week. And these whippings were always my fault. I made my father do things he did not want to do. He often said, "This hurts me more than it hurts you."
But the story did not end there. Because in that house, a daughter was growing. At 4 years old, the world stopped being safe for her. What happened next does not belong to spectacle. But what matters is that she lived through it. Her teenage years were heavy. Her early adulthood was hard. There were moments when survival itself was an act of courage. And still she kept going. She became educated. She became aware. She became something more than what tried to break her. She learned to turn pain into language, silence into voice, struggle into meaning. Not everyone who is hurt finds their way out, but she did. She claimed her mind. She claimed her future. She claimed her story. This is not a story about what was done to her. It is a story about what she became. The struggle didn't end her. It made her.